What do you miss about the internet of the past, when YouTube was a much smaller community and the popular channels were normal people rather than the influencer types we have today? Remember the time when it had the 5-star rating system? The simplicity and fun of it all. Now it feels very corporate, and people are out just to make a buck. Perhaps the biggest difference so far. Websites today has ads or something about cookies, subscribing to newsletter 95% of the time. The fact that it still felt like some kind of mystery we had to figure out. There was always another website or something that you didn't know about. You could just kind of find new stuff every day and it felt like you were discovering something. It felt like a process of exploration. Now everything's kind of focused on the same couple of platforms. No one was tracking you. And everything wasn't monetized. Hey, you posted that on another forum too. Buy this cream for $38. 22. All the great flash animation sites that YouTube murdered home stare in a stick death joker tune album or black sheep bombs world. I know a lot of us are still around but they're just not the same or don't put out content like they used to. I miss home starina so much. To this day I still quote it, like saying job instead of job, or simply telling people the system is down. I also miss something awful. No social media. Yay, social media is probably the internet invention that hurt society the most at a large scale. Of course social media helped making noise for some big problems of today. No infinite scrolling. You could tell yourself just a page. Which is why they all got rid of it. AOL chatrooms. Same. Except I was on them way too young. In retrospect, MSN Messenger. What I miss about MSN is that you actually talked. Dial-up tones and the sweet sounds of a 56k modem handshake. When it videos were not overproduced. Pre-Google owned YouTube. You could be social, chat rooms, Usenet groups, etc. without all the toxicity and misinformation of current day social media. Cybersexing random strangers in an AOL chat room. Web pages that were not dynamic. You know. The kind that finished loading and then laid off my RAM and CPU until I clicked or typed something. The kind of that I could scroll through at my own pace, without triggering more loading and causing my computer's fans to speed way up, and everything to else slow way down. Pages that would not get suddenly snatched away from me and replaced with or, snap, comma and or a pop-up, if I took too long to read them, or scrolled through them at the wrong pace. These kinds of web pages give me the same infuriating bugged feeling as browsing in a brick and mortar store, and having employees hovering around me and repeatedly asking me if I need help with anything, and other customers constantly asking me to move. The web that existed before strategically interrupting readers became a well-developed science. People were more likely to keep their weird shoot in their house instead of going out in public on all fours on a leash and acting like a dog. Stop the internet, I want to get down. I miss the slight jankiness of it. Websites that weren't quite perfect. Some that looked like a 5-year-old designed it. The logos that had personality. Knowing if you liked an image, you saved it because you were gonna lose it. The memes were simpler and dumber. You came home from school to crank up the internet to see some fellow preteens animated series on YouTube which was drawn poorly and all the voices had different qualities because everyone was recording them on different mics and different homes. There wasn't the constant, exhausting churn of people trying to get famous and push their brands. The absolutely tacky color schemes people's sites had. Black background with yellow text with green links. You betcha. A line of animated GIFs for a page break? No problem. And frames. LOL. List of links on one side loading stuff into a frame on the other. Hit counters and goose books. It really was the digital equivalent to glitter glue, macaroni, and construction paper in the beginning. People knew better than to use their own names on the internet. Hacker aliases only. Now these fools are telling everyone about their upcoming colonoscopy and posting videos of their children all over the internet for clout. I was just talking to a buddy about this. How nowadays I try to have a few different usernames just so my different accounts can't be connected. It's a much different world than the old days. Not being reachable 24/7. We made sure we went online when we were free to chat and had the right not to respond if offline, busy or away. Now it's, I am texting you and you are not answering, that's why I called. Yeah, I know, frick off. I feel nostalgia for the P2P file sharing programs like Napster, Bearshare, Kazaa, Lemua, etc. You could never trust song labels. Every single parody song was suddenly Weird Al, and it would suck when you thought you found a new or obscure song by a band you loved and it was actually a song you already knew by them, or sometimes a song by a different band altogether. That movie that you wanted to download, which was always in several huge parts that would take hours to days to download, ends up being porn you didn't want. That porn that you really wanted ends up being a beheading video. It was so chaotic and random and full of viruses that would frick your computer too. Those were crazy days and you never really knew what to expect. Was like the Wild West. That was the real reason Weird Al hated file sharing. GeoCities websites. Mine were awesome. In the late 90s, creators weren't constantly getting cancelled for things literally nobody cares about and forgets after a couple days. Also, edgy jokes and dark humor wouldn't get you deleted from existence. There's a corollary to this. It used to be we didn't have to worry about Poe's law when we made edgy jokes. Dumb people wouldn't come along and take it literally. So suddenly you got a bunch of racist assholes that think you're on their side. You can't no longer pretend to say something stupid and expect that people will understand it's a joke. So now when I type shoot, many times I sigh and have to put a S at the end, because even when I'm saying an intentionally over the top stupid thing, there's a lot of people that say stupider things unironically. So we can't make edgy jokes because there's too many stupid people on the internet that ruined it for everyone. This will betray my age, but I miss web rings. You'd find a site you liked, and sometimes at the bottom of the page there would be a link for the web ring. It would take you to a similar site that was usually independently operated. Think GeoCities fan sites and the like. This was important because search engines weren't nearly as powerful back in the day, and some of the best sites weren't necessarily ones that would pop up on a search results page. Thus, web rings. I don't know that a web ring itself is what I'm missing. I guess it was always sort of a crapshoot, but you'd sometimes find really cool hobby pages and fan pages that way, and you wouldn't necessarily find them any other way in the mid-90s. Being able to read an article without videos automatically playing and ads covering the page. The internet of old was a utopia in a way. Everyone seemed to be mostly out to help each other. Free games. Free music. People would hang in chat rooms. Porn was in GIF format and free. Nowadays, it seems everything is about money, or everything seems to be a hustle. It was more a thing for a distraction and novelty. Didn't have to run every aspect of life on the internet. No influencers, no social media, less misinformation. Not every idiot was out there spewing venom. Just like random, high concept comedy sites that you'd run across because people weren't wasting all their jokes on Twitter. Things that were impossibly funny at the time but long gone now. Once it's on the internet it's there forever. Except for basically every website I used to read back in college. It was actually exciting to get an email. Jeeves. Anonymity. Ebom's World. Newgrounds. I know they are still around but just don't hit the same. I guess you could say I miss when there was so much unknown about the internet. Freedom to make your own web pages and whatever. Now they monetize it. Frick you rich assholes that don't let web remain free. When it wasn't basically a corporate hellscape with an endless barrage of advertisements and relentless format copying. My company is making a product based solely on a TikTok trend. What's cutting edge and boundary pushing about a supplement based on questionable science and even more dubious marketing research of its trending? Let's see if it sticks. I miss when it was wild and amateur. People got famous, but it was from outrageous stuff that no one had thought of before. It feels very sanitized and clean. Like, there's no mystery to it. Old internet felt a bit Wild West, like a massive campfire story. Now it's ads and capitalism. Not sure I'm getting my point across, but yeah. OG forums. I enjoyed the format and community. So much better than Twitter for communication and discussion. Reddit is the closest thing to it. Dial up. No one can use the phone cause I'm on the internet. Or, sibling is on the internet and you need to use the phone, so you dial the phone to make their connection bad and they get disconnected. Then you are able to use the phone. I miss when people didn't tell each other to go frick themselves cause of their opinions. How it used to just be a part of life. And now it is life. Smartphones were probably the driving force here. When I was younger I had to wait until I was home to get online. Now it's always in my palm. I use it to manage almost every aspect of life, and my attention span is fried. Time for some, somewhat, old school. FTP is the primary protocol to download files. Free coasters, AOL install CDS were everywhere. chat rooms just a few. The style of the late 90s internet was something that could only be created organically. That shoot was wild. I have so many great memories staying up late chatting with my friends on that. I remember how fun it was changing up your profile and trying to come up with cool, clever away messages. No one was trying to go viral seemingly. Things just went viral organically. No social media. Oddly enough, the one thing I miss the most was making the pages you picked to visit count, as it was a commitment to load them. Staying up all night to download one song on LimeWire than wanking into the front pouch of your school bag. I feel like that last part might just be you, bro. The naive belief that being more connected would make the world more peaceful. Personal web pages. Flash animations. Much less corporate. People were more polite to each other. I miss that. It was way more nerdy. A real high presence of programming stuff. STEM stuff, etc. Also, no one really had a clue what anyone was doing, which was really nice. Now it is a machine that is being used to get more customers, etc. It was a weird place. AOL chat rooms being spammed with ASCII art porn. The good old days. The screaming robot sound when you dialed it up. No influencers. Had to put that in quotes because I'm not sure what they're influencing. I miss old school RuneScape. I know you can still get on and play, but it doesn't feel the same anymore. Maybe that's more of a youth and nostalgia thing than an internet itself thing. Though, people didn't hate each other as much. Less negativity. BBSs. Winamp. Probably more than everything else. And the absence of social media. Marquee. Everywhere. Less politics creeping into everywhere and everything. Not saying it's good or bad. Just very different. When YouTube didn't have ads, you could be friends with people online without your IRL family and friends demanding you friend them. Aunt Dolores wasn't on Usenet, GeoCities, and MySpace. Now it's Steam, Twitter, Insta. Everyone is everywhere and they demand your interaction as their own gamified self-worth. AOL chatrooms, Netscape, not having to tiptoe around everyone's feelings. People just had thicker skin. Also, all the people that I wanted escape from came on the internet. Web pages that loaded quickly and worked. I miss that it was text-based. That meant that ideas prevailed. No karma. The joy was how much you added to the conversation. The lack of disdain, spite, hate, offense, etc. Man, we used to just be about sharing information, pictures, stories, etc. Our amazement that we were actually connecting with people from all over was in its infancy. It just felt more human, for lack of a better term, in my vocabulary. The fact that you could log off, no censorship or anyone tracking you, government, when you wanted to download a photo of a nude woman. It was like a striptease to wait for that image to load all the way from the top down. A slow slew of striptease.